this whole conversation about like good debt versus bad debts, or potentially ignoring debts, or not even being able to pay them. It kind of reminds me of this video I came across that I wanted to show here, where this girl's talking about straight up just like ignoring her debt altogether and saying, oh, it'll just fall off in a few years. And I think there's kind of a mixture of like not understanding how things work entirely, but then also like a healthy level of maybe an unhealthy level, I should say, of optimism for things just won't go bad. So let me go ahead and play that for you.
Credit cards are fake. You can just put $30,000 on a credit card and then not pay it, and then it will fall off your credit after 7 years.
Saucy Sibs tip 24. Credit card debt
is like, it doesn't matter. Like, I asked mom and dad at one point, I was like, could I go to jail?
No, because it's not legally binding.
And if they sell it to a collections agencies, aren't allowed to keep calling you.
You
have to know your rights. Just don't answer and they will write it off. Mine have all fallen off my credit in 2 to 3 years. But here's the thing. You can't get an apartment, because we got this apartment because my credit was so good.
And I like didn't have
Nick
credit.
doesn't have credit because he's never had a credit
I'm
card.
off grid.
Yeah. Everything in like his life has been cash. But we're building your credit now. So my credit is like, honestly, it's still not that bad.
It's not bad.
It's like 650.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, no, I know.
Also,
I know
I don't
someone
care.
listening just like, it
hurt them.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Like, we're letting mine will build back up in a year.
It's
First of all,
fine.
after everything drops off, it shoots back up and then you're fine. But here's the thing.
And the more credit you get a booster score.
Yeah. So if anyone else credit, they literally wouldn't be able to like do anything in life. So like, don't credit. But I did, and it was great.
That's fine.
It was like so fun.
It was like so fun.
That is dangerous advice. I don't know about that one. What do you think, Nick?
Like the whole idea that like credit card debt is fake. It's just like, what are you talking about? It's literally just borrowed money with the expectation that you're going to pay it back. And to think like, well, I could just borrow it and then not pay it back and then just ignore the phone calls. Like there's a level of entitlement that has to come along with coming to that conclusion that it's just like, I don't know how you're getting there, you know?
Yeah. And like she kind of threw in there, like, we might not be able to get an apartment, you know? So like,
grazed over that, right?
Yeah, just grazed over that. And I do think, I mean, there's definitely people in the world who live life this way. I don't think I could morally live that way. Just like knowing that I'm taking advantage of something. And like, you know, when you're signing up for these credit cards, you're signing things that are saying that you're like going to pay them back. And I just think for me, like, I just couldn't like live with myself, like knowing that I told somebody I was going to pay them back and then never did. My mom was so good with like her credit card bills growing up. Like we never had credit card debt because she paid it off every month. So I just feel like for me, I just couldn't do that. But it's not as simple as just like, oh, it just like falls off. Like that is so dangerous to say. Like so many things, your credit goes into so many different things. Like how are you ever get an apartment? How are you going to get a home someday? Are you ever going to need a car again? Because all of that goes into getting loans for things. Like it's not just like, oh yeah, let me just go and spend $30,000 and just not pay it. And I'll tell you what, yeah, collections agencies, they are going to call you because that's their job to try to get you to pay that. You know, they're going to harass you at all hours of the day and it's going to be miserable. You know, they're going to call people that know you as well. You know, it's wild, but that's a wild approach.
So like credit cards are some of the largest companies in the world, right? And to think that they haven't thought this idea through of like, oh, but what if people don't pay us? What can we do? Like, oh, well, hopefully they just never figure that out, right? Like, no, that's not the case. Like, and granted, there's what can happen, and then there's also the likelihood of that happening, right? Like they can sue you, garnish your wages, force you through court to pay that.
Yes.
And then now there's a conversation you can have about how likely is that. It's probably going to depend on how much debt we're talking about. But like the fact that that's still a possibility, that you could be sued, forced to pay this debt, your wages are garnished, like that's such a huge risk to take. Just to try to take this money free and clear and be like, oh, well, it'll fall off in 2 or 3 years, which I don't know how she got that number, 2 or 3 years. Like, the debt doesn't go away after 2 or 3 years. I mean, and it's not even going to go away after 7 years. It's just may not show up on your report anymore if there's been no activity on that. But like the debt is still there. They could be waiting for their moment to be like, all right, we're just going to wait, and then we're going to come and strike, you know, and you could see this happening years down the road. But yeah, that's just, I couldn't tell how serious or not they were with that. They sounded pretty serious, but then in the comments under it, in the comments under it, it was just totally like a laughing matter. I'm like, I don't know if you're getting it right, you know, like.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that goes back to like the whole credit card versus cash thing. Like, credit cards, there's like no emotional attachment. It's just like money that like it again is sort of fake. You know, it's just like it is borrowed money, right? So you're swiping and you're like, oh, I'll just pay this later when I get paid or whatever. And there's just no emotional attachment to it. Rather than like taking money out of your own bank account and like handing it over, you're like shaking, like, this is my money. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I don't know. So I think that's where a lot of people get that from. I don't know. We really need like financial education in schools, because like, how are people going into their adult lives like thinking these things? It's wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy the lack of education there is around some of these more simpler areas of managing your finances. Like, how does a credit card work? Like, how can you set up a simple budget just to understand, are you spending within your means? Like, little things like that I don't think are too complex for people in high school to learn, like, are just so useful and they're not taught. And it was funny. I was watching this Caleb Hammer episode. I love watching Caleb Hammer videos when I like make dinner or wash the dishes or something. And he was talking about like, there was this person on there and they just kept saying, well, like, I'm young, you know, I just don't know. And he's like, well, first of all, you're 23, like you've been an adult for 5 years. And there's this whole like idea of like the younger generations now. What is the word he used? Like infantilizing themselves, where like, oh, I'm just so young. Like I'm 25. I'm still super young. Like as an excuse for why like your shit isn't together. And like, look, I get it. You know, if you go to college, that's almost, you know, depending on who you are, where you go, that can be somewhat of an extension of high school for a lot of people, you know? And so you come out really becoming an adult at 22. But like, even at that point, like having been an adult for 4 years, with how much information there is online and how much knowledge there is of how bad these situations could be, like it's hard for that to be an excuse. You know, at least in my mind, it's hard for that to be a valid excuse.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, with anything, it's like, okay, we literally live in a time where you can Google and YouTube literally anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the excuse isn't there. I don't know. This person talking about this, just, it made me anxious, because I'm like, like your credit and like crashing your credit that bad. Like she said, her score is good. It's better now at 650. Like I wouldn't consider that good. I mean, people who are building up, that's fine. Also, I don't think she understands how long it takes to build credit back up, like to get to like the good and the excellent levels. Like it takes years of good, like repayment of debt and things like that. You're not going to have $30,000 in credit card debt go into collections and then just expect to have like a 750 score after like a year or two. It's not going to happen. And if you're doing that on a credit card, you're probably just have like shitty spending habits regardless.
Oh, so, all throughout the rest of your life, right?
Yeah. So your credit score is literally gonna be like 400. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Yeah. Now I will say the one thing in there that is correct. You're not going to go to jail for it. And so maybe that's kind of like your threshold for how severe is this? Well, can I go to jail for it? No, then it's not that bad. You know, that's the only thing I can kind of see. But like definitely glazed over some of the details for how this would work if you just took out $30,000 of debt and never paid it back. You know, these companies are not dumb. No. You know, they know these tricks, and they know there's a lot more ways to get that money back from you. Than how easy it would be for you to like kind of skirt the guardrails, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, that made me think of something. So I know you can go to jail for like writing bad checks and stuff like that. So like, I guess it's just different because like, it's not really your money. I don't know how it works, but like, you know, you can go to jail for other things, but like, it seems like this would be the same. I just don't know how, you know, you're saying like, oh, I'm going to pay this back. And then you don't, especially at like $30,000. That's a lot of things. What did you buy first off? But like, you know, that seems like a lot of money to just be like, oh, I don't have to pay it back, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah. $30,000 is an absurd amount of money. And what was more concerning was the amount of people in the comments who were, there was only two sides. It was either they were totally agreeing with it, like, yeah, you cracked the system, or they were like, you're an idiot. Like, this is not how it works. You know, so it's crazy to see that, I guess, level of polarization between, do you believe this or not?
The information, opinions, and recommendations provided on this podcast are for entertainment purposes only and do not constitute professional financial advice. Any financial decisions you make based on the content of this podcast are your responsibility. We strongly recommend consulting with a licensed financial advisor or other qualified professional before making any significant financial decisions. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that we are not liable for any financial outcomes.